el exec, el Vélez, el fenómeno que todos quieren ser, el chamaquito que no pueden entender.
How we doing, guys? Welcome to episode 153 of the Exec Talk Podcast. I'm your host, Evelez. What's up? How we doing? God bless you guys. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, comment, follow me on all my socials, and let's get it cracking. So, what we're going to talk about today? We're going to talk about UFC. We're going to talk about that boy Jon Bones Jones. Giving Stipe Miocic the retirement kick, spinning back kick. Absolutely disgusting. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about, of course, the declining state of the Dallas Cowboys. We're also going to talk about how scary the Lions look. And, you know, we're going to, of course, have to talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers. Along with every other NFL team in the standings. As well as Cleveland Cavaliers are undefeated no more. As of about 30 minutes ago, they got their asses handed to them by the defending world champions, Boston Celtics, including 14 threes in the first half. Holy shit. But the first thing we're going to talk about is MLB Rookies of the Year got announced about a day ago. And no surprise, Paul Skenes, NL Rookie of the Year. Good job to Paul. From number one pick to Rookie of the Year. First guy sent in the live ball era, which goes back all the way to the 1920s. That a rookie pitcher goes under 2 ERA. He was at a 1.96 for his rookie year. Also, with the Rookie of the Year, that adds a year of service time to his contract, which that basically means that they can't keep him for an extra year, so he will be a free agent after 2029. This kid is on his way to win a couple Cy Youngs, in my opinion. He will be one of the most dominant pitchers we've ever seen. He's only going to get better. The arm is still young because he started pitching in high school. He started pitching in college. He was a catcher through all his high school, so his arm is relatively new. As well as this kid's stuff is incredible. He can throw 102, 103 with pinpoint accuracy, has a nasty slider, has a nasty change-up, curveball. He's going to add things to the arsenal, I believe. Maybe a sweeper, maybe a 12-6 curve. You know, I would like him to add something to that effect. He has a nasty split, so he doesn't need a fork ball right now. He has a nasty, nasty splitter called a splinker. So only guy really throwing it. Besides one more guy which took it from him, and I forgot who that is. One of the guys with long hair. I don't know if it's Glass now or maybe Gilbert, Bryce Miller. One of those adopted the splinker a little bit, but shout out to Paul Skenes. Only the beginning. It's unfortunate that his owner is not going to pay him. So after 2029, I believe the Yankees, the Dodgers, the Mets, the Padres, all the big name teams are going to come calling. And he will get somewhere in the range of, I don't know, 500 to 600 million as a pitcher at that point. 2029, if we're looking at how contracts are going right now, I think that I think that definitely constitutes what it's going to be around that range. As for the AL, it wasn't that much of a discussion, I think. Luis Gil the rookie pitcher from the Yankees, AL Rookie of the Year. Now, for him, it was a little bit more Rookie of the Year-ish. He took over and, kind of blasted himself onto the scene. First 2 months of the season, definitely under 3 ERA, but I think he was under a 2 for that stretch. First 8 starts, and then he hit a lull like all rookies do. He hit a wall, and then he picked it back up again towards the playoffs and stuff like that. But he saved the rotation because there was no Garrett Cole. Rodon was up and down. Nestor was being Nestor. Stroman was being Stroman. Excuse me. So they couldn't find real continuity in the starting pitching. With him, they had a guy that they could put out there with confidence and know that he would deliver pitches at a very high level. This guy throws 98, 99, changeup, curve, typical mix, slider. But, very good stuff, and I think the kid is only going to get better. Stephen Vogt got AL Coach of the Year for the Guardians. Well-deserved. I mean, what he did with that franchise was incredible. So well-deserved for him. As for the NL, I don't believe it has come out yet. Or at least it hasn't come through my algo. I don't know. I thought that they came out at the same time. But as of this moment, Stephen Vogt was AL Manager of the Year. The NL Manager of the Year, Pat Murphy, Brewers. Another great winner. What he did with that franchise after Counsell left, what he did with that franchise, excellent job. Churio, Terang, Willie Adames, Contreras, having lost Corbin Burns, having lost Brandon Woodruff to injury, Corbin Burns to trade with the Orioles, of course, and to still have Tobias Myers, a rookie, be pretty dominant and piece that thing together with Colin Ray, I think was a very, very masterful job as a manager. Just couldn't make it deep enough into the playoffs as they wanted to, but they won the division. So very, 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 very good job for both of those managers. Stephen Vogt had the Guardians basically playing as the best team in the MLB for a long part of the season, along with the Doc with the Dodgers, and Pat Murphy just dominated their division. Was the best base running team in the league, I believe. Led the league in stolen bases, if I'm not mistaken. And just pieced together something after losing their ace and, dealing with pitching injuries, and still did it very well. And of course, still had Jackson Churio, which helps, and Contreras and Willie Adames as well. So shout out to those two managers on that win. All right, so let's go to UFC. UFC 309. Jon Bones Jones versus Stipe Miocic for the undisputed world heavyweight title. Before that, it was Michael Chandler and Charles Oliveira in a non-championship match, but an absolute banger of a co-main event that went all 5 rounds. Chandler looked like he was gonna be done for in the few first rounds, because the thing about Charles "Do Bronx" Oliveira, you gotta understand, is he's a former champion. He wants the belt back, and for him against a guy like Michael Chandler, it's not about being the stand-up; it's how fast they can get it to the ground. As soon as this man went to the ground, I mean, it was a vice grip. Couldn't get away from him. Tried to submit him a couple times. Almost did in the first round with the guillotine. Chandler got out of it. And it was a great 5-round fight. almost got knocked out in the 5th round, like late 5th round. We're talking about a minute left, minute 30 left. Chandler finally just said balls to the wall and just caught him. And he could have finished it, but he missed his follow-up 2 shots, and then they went to the cage, and Chandler fell, and then the vice grip became again, and Chandler, as a final act of desperation and, you know, as Michael Chandler is, you know, showing up, you know, giving the fans a show, as he was being grabbed and held onto for dear life by Charles, this man picked him up, stood up twice, and just fell back and slammed him on his back. Charles Oliveira obviously didn't feel it or anything, and Charles won eventually. But Michael Chandler is one of those dudes that I love to see fight. Can't wait till he fights Conor. You know, but I love to see him fight. He's like an Anthony Pettis, a Nate Diaz, a Dustin Poirier. You know what you're gonna get. You know you're gonna get a war. You're gonna get something entertaining, and that was fun to see. But Charles just kind of dominating that fight until he got caught at the end and almost lost it. As for Jon Bones Jones versus Stipe Miocic, I knew Jon Bones Jones was going to finish this fight. I knew that it was not going to 5 rounds. Knowing Jon Bones Jones, if you've seen his career at now 27-1, that one being a no contest, you got to understand that he's going to look to finish the fight. John's not the type of guy to want to go 5 rounds, although he has in his championship career. But he has a lot more KOs than not KOs when his wins and submissions as well. And Jon Bones Jones is just the perfect fighter. I mean, there's no other way to say it. He is the GOAT of fighting, of MMA, of UFC. This guy has the most championship defenses in UFC history, the most championship title fights in UFC history, title wins in UFC history. I've seen him, you know, like he did to Lyoto Machida when he was a light heavyweight. I remember when he choked him out, like standing up, and Lyoto Machida, when he let him go, he was asleep. I've seen him get a head kick, knockout, spinning elbow, ground and pound, different submissions. I mean, the guy is incredible, and you still got to watch out for his hands because they're electric. The speed at what he has at 6'4", 84.5-inch wingspan, the longest in the UFC, arm reach. You know, that's a real advantage with his jab. That's devastating. And Stipe got dragged into the deep waters early. Almost got submitted first round. Not submitted. He almost got ground and pounded with elbows to death in the first round. He survived. And then the second round, you know, you saw Jon Bones Jones kind of being more methodical, picking his spots and everything like that, still doing damage. And then in the third round, you just saw Jon just being a little bit more aggressive, but still respecting the fact that Stipe still had a punch. But he put him against the cage. And out of nowhere, and I mean out of nowhere, because if you blinked, you didn't see it, a beautiful, just non-telegraphed, out of nowhere, no way Stipe could even think it was coming, just spinning back kick to the ribs. It was so, he hit him so hard, fully cocked, like just everything into his ribs, and it was that delayed response, like, you know, not that much of a delay of a liver shot, but a delayed response where when he hit him, like you saw it, but like right after, I mean, Stipe fell down, 2 more shots to the head by Jon Bones Jones, and the fight was over. And he finishes him, the greatest heavyweight of all time, 2-time heavyweight champion, Stipe Miocic, at 44 years old. Officially retires as a UFC. He will be a Hall of Famer. Still probably considered the greatest heavyweight of all time. The guy was incredible, and he did all that while being a fireman, which is incredible, and shout out to him for serving, and being a first responder. But Jon Bones Jones is just a different animal, man. I mean, like every fighter says that talks about him and who's faced him, you have so much to worry about. It's not just the hands. It's not just the elbow. It's the knees. It's the kicks. It's the kicks down to your legs. It's the hits to the body, the kicks to the body, the head kick, the jab, left hook, right hook, elbow, knee, flying knee, spinning back fist, like anything possible that you can think of a fighter doing, Jon Bones Jones can do at a very high level and with power and speed. And that's why it is tough to go into the octagon with that man and come out victorious. The fight now, and shout out to Jon for, saying like, that Jesus Christ loves us and everything like that. I definitely agree with that sentiment. And God bless you all. It was a great message after the fight when Joe Rogan was interviewing him. So shout out to him for that. Having President-elect Trump there, Mr. 47, with the whole basically cabinet that he's going to, employ, Elon, Tulsi, RFK Jr., Vivek, and of course with Dana. It was incredible to see. He came out right before the fight. It was incredible to see. And I always love seeing Trump, Jon Bones Jones doing the Trump dance right in front of him, after knocking out, TKOing Stipe was hilarious and great. Now everybody's saying he has to fight Tom Aspinall for the to unify the heavyweight championship. And they interviewed Tom after the fight, and they said, and he said, "Oh, I thank God that Dana put, me next to the octagon so I could see him up close because, in TV it doesn't do it justice of the speed and what he's doing." And then he said, "I think there's some openings." DC asked him, "Hey, you think that you can possibly get Ariel Arwani?" Asked him, "You think there's some openings? Do you think there's something you could take advantage of?" And he's like, "Yeah, with my age and my speed," he's 31. With my age and my speed, I think that there's some openings, but he kept it like respectful because he said, like, "I can tell you this right now, but when I get into the octagon, we just won't never know until then, but I feel like I can win." And I would just tell him right now, bro, you can't win. Okay? I don't care if you're younger. Like, I think he said it, Jon Bones, he said it like, if the compensation is right, then I'll do it. But he'd rather fight Pereira, a guy with the title at light heavyweight, his division that he's, ran through. If he finishes him, he reclaims his title again. He will have both titles, two-time, two-division champ, which had never been done before. So, I think he should fight Pereira. I got Jon Bones Jones in that fight. I got Jon Bones Jones against Tom Aspinall. But whichever fight we get, I think is going to be great. People want the Tom Aspinall fight. Dana already said it would be the greatest heavyweight fight of all time. I agree because it's young versus the GOAT and see what comes out on top. But if Jon, beats Tom Aspinall, like, what's left? There's nobody left in that division for Jon to like have to, somebody has to come up to him to challenge him, because at that point he'll unify the belt. He'll be the official undisputed heavyweight champion. And then if he wants to fight Pereira, which he said he has a couple fights in him left before he retires. He didn't retire in this past fight. He could possibly retire, but I think he wants to fight Pereira for that light heavyweight championship. And possibly hold both belts at the same time. But I think Aspinall's going to push for it, and I think we're going to get Aspinall, Jon Bones Jones somewhere in the near future, probably next year. Maybe thinking like March, April, May, maybe fight week of next year in Abu Dhabi. But, MSG was going crazy, and, they were chanting for Stipe at some points in the fight. But Jon Bones Jones is just inevitable, man. Smartest fighter that Dana's ever seen. The fighter IQ of a supercomputer. and he knew where to attack Stipe. He said it after the fight. He comes in a little lean. You know, he was weighing more than him by like 20 pounds, but he comes in a little lean, and my game plan was to definitely hit the body, and he did his damage. And probably Stipe has a couple broken ribs, if not some bruised lungs, for sure. But shout out to Jon Bones Jones. Quick aside, Mike Tyson, Logan Paul, probably the most boring fight I've ever seen in my life. After the first 2 rounds, third round, you could just tell Mike was just not, you know, his legs were concrete. He couldn't move. You know, Logan Paul after the fight said that he was still scared. Of course, you're going to still be scared because that right hand still exists. But Mike couldn't move. He had almost died 4 months prior, needed a blood transfusion of half his blood, hurt his knee. So, you know, for $20 million and $40 million for Logan Paul, for Jake Paul, I think it was good for him. I think it was good for both of them. Mike for either filling a void of thinking that he could still do it, which was what he said after the fight. Like, I went 8 rounds and I'm proud of myself. I did this for me. Or, you know, the $20 million to keep him, you know, not necessarily afloat, but, you know, good, hopefully for the rest of his life. Doing smart investments and stuff, like using the money for smart reasons. As for Jake, supposedly wants to fight Canelo. All right, that's a fight you're going to get knocked the hell out. You don't call out Canelo. Same thing with Edgar Berlanga. Because you've been training in Puerto Rico, you know, Berlanga said something to the tune in Instagram, like, don't say that you're from us because you're not from us. Like, Berlanga is another dude that will knock you out. These boys don't play. You're talking about some of the best in the world at this point. Canelo, you know, he just fought Berlanga. It was a hard fight. Canelo won, you know, but Canelo said Berlanga is the next one. Like, you know, I don't think Jake Paul wants those problems with those two dudes. So keep fighting influencers and stuff like that, and washed up fighters to keep your clout up, because you don't want to get put to sleep Pacquiao style by Canelo or the one Edgar Berlanga. But yeah, good. Definitely Saturday made up for Friday night's I think it basically was a debacle. You know, we saw Mike Tyson's ass cheeks. Netflix wasn't working half of the time. Serrano got stolen another belt from her, you know, in a fight that she should have won again, just like she won the first one. But unfortunately, you know, at least the Saturday made up for it. Okay, let's get to the NFL. Actually, let's get to NCAA real quick. NCAA. Let's get to the NCAA. The standings came out. Boise State lost. So did BYU. So right now, like, it's in a state of flux. We still a lot of things have to happen. But, you know, to put it short, sorry about that. To put it short, Ohio State beat Northwestern 31-7. Now they face Indiana, undefeated versus one loss. See what happens there. Texas beat Arkansas 20-10. They stay at number 3. Colorado beats Utah. They go to, they're not 17, I don't think, or they stayed 17. Let me see. Week 13. Let me see if they stayed 17. Yeah, they went to 16. So they only went up 1. But they dominated. A little slow at the beginning. Threw a pick at the first play of the game. Did Shador, but finished with 340 and 3 touchdowns still. Travis played well. Had a touchdown at the end. on a crazy play and had a pick. And it was the most points scored on Whittingham's and Utah's defense all year. 49. Crazy. Excuse me. Crazy outcome. They're playing well. If they keep it like this, they'll make it to the Big 12 championship, and I think they can win, and that will get them into the playoffs as the Power 5 conference winner. So I think they're doing well, and I think Shedeur is really cementing himself as the number 1 quarterback in this draft class, and Travis probably as the number 1 pick and the Heisman. Clemson beats Pitt 24-10. Tulane beats Navy 35-0. Alabama beats Mercer 52-7. Penn State beats Purdue 49-10. Notre Dame beats Virginia 35-14. SMU beats Boston College 38-28. It was close at the beginning, late third quarter. In the fourth quarter, SMU started to pull away a little bit and got that 10-point cushion. Louisville loses to Stanford, so 19 Louisville. It's basically it for their hopes for the ACC. 38-35. Florida beats LSU 27-16. That knocks out LSU completely. Lagway played well. I liked what I saw from our defense. We showed up. Thank God. I know I picked LSU, but I'm always glad when the Gators win, and it was at the Swamp, so it was that much sweeter. Screwed up my parlay, but, it is what it is. Florida won. South Carolina beats Missouri 34-30. It was a crazy game, back and forth. But South Carolina wins it on Sellers throws 5 TD passes. It was on a run by Raheem Sanders in the fourth quarter with we're talking about nothing on the clock left. Nothing. Nothing on the clock. I'll tell you guys right now. There was 15 seconds on the clock when Raheem Sanders ran it in. So, Missouri fought back. They were losing most of the game. And South Carolina fought back at home. Boise State beat San Jose State. Ashton Genty had another 159 yards and 3 TDs. He's not really on pace to break Barry's records. Barry was over 2,000 yards already. Genty's at 19 something. But still, nonetheless, he's gonna win. Is it the Errol Campbell Award or the Doak Award for the best running back in the country? He's gonna win that outright. But I still think Travis Hunter is gonna win the Heisman. Kansas State loses to Arizona State 24-14. Oregon narrowly gets by Wisconsin. Very surprising, 16-13 at the end on a field goal. So Oregon showed a little bit of weakness. Georgia, as I said, 31-17 over Tennessee. Started to pull away with the defense in the second half. Georgia stays alive to reach the 12-team playoff. They were on the outside looking in starting this week. Texas A&M beats New Mexico State 38-3. Washington State loses to New Mexico 38-35. And Kansas beats BYU, no longer undefeated, 17-13. And they go down as the last undefeated team in the country besides Oregon. That might knock them out of the Big 12 completely. But now it's going to be more. Jalen Daniels has been balling the last 2 weeks during these last 2 wins against ranked opponents. But now with that first loss, it's going to be interesting how it might be Colorado and them at the end. All right, let's go to the NFL. The NFL. All right. So, Eagles beat the Commanders. Saquon went nuts in the fourth quarter. Literally, it was in the fourth quarter. The game was close all game, but Saquon literally ended it was late fourth quarter that Saquon kind of took over. The Eagles scored 20 in the fourth quarter when it went to the half, 7-3 Commanders. Then it was 10-6 in the third, Commanders, and then the Commanders scored 8 in the fourth, while the Phillies scored 20. Jake Elliott missed a couple field goals at the beginning, but then started making them. Jalen Hurts runs in with 12 minutes left in the fourth, makes it 10-12. Saquon runs in 23, makes it 19-10, and then Saquon again, not 39 yards to make it 26-10. And then Zach Ertz catches a 5-yard pass from Jaden Daniels to make it 16-26, and then 2-point conversion, 18-26. They couldn't get the onside kick. As for, now that the Eagles are not dominant, but they're clearly ahead in the NFC East. Now Washington's at 7th seed, so now they have to fight for their life to stay in the playoff hunt and have to start winning games again. Jaden Daniels went 22 for 32, 191, 6-yard average, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, 3 sacks for 20 yards, a QBR of 22.6, so his lowest of this season, a rating of 81.6. They ran the ball 28 times. They threw the ball 32 times, so they're still relatively balanced because it was a close game until the end. Brian Robinson Jr. went 16 for 63. Jaden couldn't run. I think he's hurt from that rib thing from earlier in the season, and I think that he just can't. He doesn't want to take off as often as he used to, and as explosively as he used to, because he went 7 carries for 18 yards. Austin Eckler was his leading receiver, which is surprising considering that, Terry McLaurin had been his guy. Austin Eckler went 8 for 89 on 9 targets, so he's not stretching the field. Again, that rib probably stretching out the throwing it downfield probably hurts a little bit, or his discomfort. Zach Ertz went 6 for 47 on 7 targets. John Bates went 2 for 17 on 3 targets. Terry McLaurin went 1 catch for 10 yards on 2 targets. So just with that, just tells me that he doesn't want to throw the ball downfield. And also Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean are hellacious corners. So Terry McLaurin had a tough job, had a tough assignment. Had a tough assignment. As for the rest of the team, on defense, we had 2 sacks, 2 by Frankie Louvu on blitzes, and no picks. As for the Eagles, Jalen Hurts went 18 for 28 for 221, 7.9 average, 2 sacks for 15 yards, a 45.2 QBR, a 88.5 rating, so nothing special. Ran the ball 40 times, passed the ball 28 times, so definitely a run-heavy game. Saquon went 26 for 146, a 5.6 average with 2 touchdowns and a long of 39. Kenneth Gainwell, which got the party going in the fourth quarter at the beginning with 4 good runs. He went 4 for 43. And then Jalen Hurts went 10 for 39 and a touchdown, which was a tush push. 40 for 208 as a team, for 228 as a team. A.J. Brown went 5 catches for 65 yards and 8 targets. Dallas Goedert went 5 for 61. Saquon went 2 for 52 on 3 targets, along a 43. Devontae Smith went 4 for 29 on 6 targets. And Jahan Dotson, the guy that facing Washington for the first time since they let him go, he only caught 1 pass for 8 yards. As for the defense, they got 3 sacks, 1 for Nolan Smith Jr., really coming into his own as a pass rusher. Brandon Graham, old reliable, and Cooper and Josh Sweat, their main big pass rusher from last year, that kind of stepped up into that lead role. But other than then the sacks. What the story of this game was just Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis, but mostly Jalen Carter. I mean, this guy is coming into his own as one of the best defensive tackles in the league, as we said when he got picked number 9 overall last year. Was supposed to be picked number 1. Little thing here and there that they didn't want to. That supposedly, he wasn't this, he wasn't that. He is exactly who we thought he was when he was at Georgia, and he won those 2 national championships. This guy is a real dude out there and is gonna terrorize offenses and offensive lines for a very long time to come. Reed Blankenship got a pick. Other than that, 26-18. Washington falls to 7-4. Eagles go to 8-2. Eagles have won, I believe, 6 in a row. Second most in the league. Of course, compared to the Lions, who have won 8 in a row. But, shout out to the Eagles for that. We got that one right. We went staggering 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we went 8-7 this week. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It didn't say. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We went 8-6 this week, so we're still positive. Not great, but we're still positive. All right, Ravens Steelers. Steelers win on 5 field goals from Chris Boswell. Only kicker in NFL history to have 3 such games in his career. He had one way back in 2016, I want to say. He had one week 1 of this year. Does it again against the Ravens at Acrisure this past Sunday. I don't know what's wrong with Lamar when he faces Kansas City, when he faces Steelers. He can't throw the ball. He barely runs. The defense is dominant, and when this defense was dominant, as I said, this is a Super Bowl defense, but the offense is still the same issue. You rely on the deep ball too much. You can't run the ball, and you can't score touchdowns against good teams. I don't understand how else I could say it. This game should have not been close, honestly. If you think about it, Tucker missed 2 field goals in the first half. So this would have been, you add that's 19 plus another 3. That's 22-18. So the Ravens would have won this game. But it happens what it happens. Lamar went 16 for 33, 207. 1 touchdown, 1 pick, 2 sacks for 2 yards, 59.5 QBR, a 66.1 rating. Henry went 13 for 65. They ran the ball 19 times, threw the ball 33 times. Same thing that happened in the AFC Championship last year against Kansas City. They just got pass happy for no reason. This game was extremely close. I don't know why they got pass happy. They should have just kept running the ball. Isaiah Likely went 4 for 75 on 5 targets. Zay Flowers went 2 for 39 and a touchdown on 6 targets. Rashad Bateman went 2 for 30 on 5 targets. Justice Hill went 4 for 28 on 7 targets, most target guy on the team. And then 2 for 22 on 3 targets, Mark Andrews. Derrick Henry on the first drive of the game lost a fumble on the first carry. Isaiah Likely lost a fumble, which basically ended the game. They got 4 sacks, 2.5 by Odafe Owe, 1 by half by Brandon Stevens, 1 by Broderick Washington. Yeah. And then they got Marlon Humphrey in the end zone with a bad pick by Russell Wilson. Marlon Humphrey picked it off. And then as for the Steelers, I mean, it's not much. It's 23 for 36, 205 for Russell. Nothing crazy. No touchdowns, 1 pick, 4 sacks for 24 yards, a QBR of 14.4, a rating of 67.5. I mean, just doo-doo. But they still win because the defense is absolutely incredible. Najee didn't even have a good game, 18 for 63, so you guys still can't run the ball. You threw the ball 36 times, you ran it 34 times, so you didn't shy away from running it. Warren went 9 for 41. Fields got 2 for 17, 2 big runs. George Pickens went 8 for 89 on 12 targets. Darnell Washington went 2 for 42 on 4 targets. Najee Harris, 4 for 30 on 5 targets. Jaylen Warren, 2 for 27 on 4 targets. Like Pat Freiermuth went 2 for 14 on 2 targets, so he didn't even target his big tight end. Deshaun Elliott picked up a fumble. Patrick Queen picked up a fumble. They got 2 sacks, one by T.J. Watt and one by Dean Lowry. And then Peyton Wilson had a crazy interception, basically stripping, I believe it was Keaton Mitchell on an important down. He caught the ball down the field, was going to the ground, and Peyton just basically pulled it out of his arms. I thought he was down, but he wasn't. They didn't overturn it, and Pittsburgh basically won the game from there. Listen, I know that you guys are number 2 in the AFC, yeah, I believe you guys are number 2. Let me see here. You guys are number 3 in the AFC at 8-2. You guys are feeling really good about yourselves. But I'm telling you right now, it is, if you're gonna face Buffalo, if you're gonna face Kansas City, and even, honestly, like the Texans, if they're healthy, I know no Stephon Diggs, but if they have Will Anderson and they have Nico Collins. Man, I don't know why I'm yawning so much. Nico Collins. I think it's going to be very tough for you guys to be able to keep up. You can keep up defensively. For sure. Like, you can keep the score down. But when it comes to, like, the offense bailing you out if you need to, like, come back, I don't think that's possible for you guys because you are feast or famine on the deep ball. You can't throw over the middle. You still don't use your tight end. It's George Pickens or bust. You know, I don't understand. You guys have the weapons to be better inside, you know, the hashes, and Russell just cannot throw in between the hashes. It is all outside. It is all moon balls. It is all hope and pray. And in the playoffs, that shit does not cut it. People are scheming for you all week. Just you. There's nobody else in the schedule. Just you. So, you guys, you know, soak it up now. You know, get your 3rd seed and everything because I don't think you're passing up Kansas City or Buffalo. So, get your 3rd seed. Get your home game. And then when we get to the playoffs, we'll see what's what. Jaguars Lions 52-6. Jaguars fired nobody. I expected Doug Peterson to possibly be fired after this game. Didn't happen. They still have confidence in him. So do I. He's a Super Bowl winning coach. It's just with Mac Jones as the guy that you're hoping and praying to play good as a quarterback is just not going to work. Lions scored on all 7 possessions that Jared Goff was out there. 7 straight touchdowns. Yeah, it was just a massacre. The line was minus 14 and honestly should have been minus 28. Mac Jones was 17 for 29, 138, 4.8. No touchdowns, a pick, 1 sack for 9 yards, 31 QBR, 56.4 rating. Travis Etienne being the lead back again, 12 for 27, 2.3 yards a carry. They ran the ball 17 times. They passed the ball 29 times. Brian Thomas Jr. went 5 for 82 on 7 targets. Evan Ingram went 5 for 28 on 7 targets. The defense had 0 sacks. Devin Duvernay, no interceptions, nothing. 6 points is what they had to show. As for the Lions, they went crazy. Jared Goff went 24 for 29, 412, 14.2 yards an attempt, 4 touchdowns, no picks, no sacks, 93.8 QBR off, perfect 158.3 rating, his 3rd such game in his career. David Montgomery went 15 for 75, 5 yards a carry, and 2 touchdowns. Jahmyr Gibbs went 11 for 69, 60.3 yards a carry, and a touchdown. Amon-Ra went nuts. He went 11 for 161 and 2 touchdowns on 11 targets, so he caught all of his 11 targets. Jamison Williams went 4 for 124 on 6 targets and a touchdown, along with 64, which was the touchdown. Jahmyr Gibbs went 1 for 54 on 1 target. Khalif Raymond went 2 for 30 on 2 targets. So it was a destruction of all proportions. They only got 1 sack. 1 half a sack by Zadarius Smith, another half a sack by Jack Campbell. Kirby Joseph with his NFL leading 7th interception. And that was it, man. 52-6. Jaguars are done. They should fire the whole freaking building. I love Doug Peterson, but at this point, it is not working. You need a new voice in there. You need something new. You don't know what you're going to do with Trevor Lawrence, even though you just paid him, and you're going to keep paying him for the next 4 years, $55 million a year, highest paid quarterback in the NFL. Though that's tough. You still got Brian Thomas. You still got Evan Ingram. You know, Christian Kirk. Like, you guys got to figure out something on the defense, something on the offense to even be remotely competitive at this point. But yeah, it was absolutely an awful showing by the Jaguars. Awful. Rams, Patriots. I picked the Rams, remember? I just said that it was too much Puka and too much Cooper. That's exactly what it was. Patriots got 22. Rams got 28. Rams go to 5-5 in the most competitive division besides the NFC North is the NFC West. Stafford went 18 for 27, 295, a 10.9 average, 4 touchdowns, no picks, 83.1 QBR, 142.7 rating. Kyron Williams went 15 for 86. Blake Corum went 5 for 21. They ran the ball 24 times for 107 yards, passed the ball 27 times, so good balance. Puka went 7 for 123 and a touchdown and a beautiful layout catch. Cooper Kupp went 6 for 106 and a long of 69. Ayo! On 10 targets. That's just what you got to do with this offense, man. You have to target Puka. You have to target Cooper constantly, like 10, 12 targets each. That's what Stafford should do when it comes to like having success in the passing game. Kobe Turner recovered a fumble. They had 3 sacks, 1 for Byron Young, and 2 by Brandon Fix, the rookie out of FSU. The D tackle. Cameron Kitchens got another pick, the rookie out of UM. As for the Patriots, Drake May is the future, but you guys need skill players, and you need them bad. Drake May went 30 for 40, 282, 7.1 average, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, 3 sacks for 25 yards, 73.7, 100.2 rating. Ramondre Stevenson went 20 for 73. They ran the ball 30 times, passed the ball 40. A little bit, more on the pass side, but it's understandable when you're facing Stafford. Kendrick Bourne went 5 for 70. Hunter Henry went 6 for 63. Kendrick Bourne caught a touchdown. They had a tackle-eligible play. Vidarian Lowe caught a touchdown of 4 yards. Kayshon Boutte went 4 for 33. Austin Hooper went 4 for 35. And Papa Douglas, Demario Douglas went 5 for 59. Drake May lost a fumble. They had 0 sacks as a team, 0 interceptions. They suck, especially on the skill side. They got the quarterback figured out, and he'll learn, but everything else is bad. Saints beat the Browns 35-14 in the Taysom Hill game. Taysom Hill goes nuts. Jameis Winston goes 30 for 46, 395, 8.6 average, 2 touchdowns, no picks, 3 sacks for 18 yards, 67.6 QBR, rating of 106.7. So he played relatively well. Nick Chubb went 11 for 50. Still haven't gotten that Nick Chubb that we know, but he's getting back. Jerry Jeudy went 6 for 142, his best receiving day as a NFL pro since coming from Broncos. He got a touchdown, a long of 89 on 11 targets. David Njoku went 9 for 81 on 9 targets. Elijah Moore went 6 for 66 on 8 targets. Denzel Ward recovered a fumble. And they got 1 sack, and that 1 sack came from Ogbo Okonkwo. Okonrokwo. Sorry, Ogbo Okonrokwo. Okoronkwo. Basically is how you say it. Denzel Ward got another pick. One of the best corners in the league. Cleveland's done 2-8. Doesn't matter what they do. It's another piss poor season for them. I don't know what the Haslam family is going to do. You need a quarterback, clearly. You need to go into the draft, somebody like Cam Ward. You're not going to go get Shador, I don't think, unless you get the number 1 pick. Maybe the number 2 pick, depending on who is that number 1. You got Cam Ward from Miami. That should be somebody you should be looking at. Other than that, it was a Taysom Hill game. Like, it was literally the Taysom Hill game. Derek Carr went 21 for 27, 248, so very efficient. 9.2 average, 2 touchdowns, no picks, one sack for 7 yards, 66.8 QBR, a 129.6 rating. Taysom Hill went 1 for 2 for 18 yards and an interception. But then Taysom Hill went 7 for 138 on the ground. 7 carries for 138. That is 19.7 yards a carry with 3 touchdowns and a long of 75. Alvin went 16 for 67 on 18 carries. Market MVS went 2 for 87 and a touchdown, a long of 71. Foster Moreau went 3 for 50. Taysom Hill went 8 for 50. Swiss Army knife. Alvin Kamara caught 4 balls for 22 yards. Taysom Hill lost a fumble. And Derek Carr didn't lose it, but he fumbled. They got 3 sacks on defense. Half by Chase Young, 1.5 by Brian Brzee, the rookie from Clemson. Just a dominant win by the Saints and trying to keep it going, 4-7. Can they catch the Jaguars? Probably not, but they're going to try for sure. Okay. Colts Jets in an absolute thriller from AR5. He runs it in with about 15 seconds left to take the final lead of the game, 28-27. This Jets team is... There's no other way to describe them than doo-doo dog shit. Garbage me stash. Poo poo chew, bro. This is awful. Just you can't get the ball to Devontae. You can't get the ball to Garrett Wilson. You barely give the ball to Breece Hall. You can't stop a cold on defense. I just don't understand it. I do not comprehend why it takes so freaking long to just play football the right way. AR impressed me. AR went 20 for 30, 272, 9.1, a touchdown, 2 sacks, 31 yards, 75.4 QBR, 106.5 rating. Jonathan Taylor went 24 for 57. Anthony Richardson went 10 for 32 and 2 touchdowns on the ground. They ran the ball 35 times, passed the ball 30 times. Pretty good balance by Shane Steichen. Josh Downs went 5 for 84 on 5 targets. I thought he was targeted more, to be honest. Alec Pierce went 3 for 74 on 4 targets. Michael Pittman went 6 for 46 on 8 targets. Adonai Mitchell went 1 for 33 on 2 targets. AR5 did his thing, man. AR5 showed maturity, that he had matured from the tap out and the 2-game suspension. He showed moxie, ran over somebody in his first touchdown, did the same thing in his second touchdown to win the game. Colts are 5-6. They're in the hunt for the AFC playoffs. So we shall see. Anthony Richardson fumbled the ball twice, lost 1. 3 sacks by the defense, 2 by Kwity Paye, 1 by Latu, the rookie out of UCLA. 28-27, man. At this point, Joe Douglas got fired today, former GM of the Jets. He's done. So the Jets have literally gotten Aaron Rodgers, plays 4 plays. He's done. Go back to the practice facility and start messing with your head. It's what do we do? What do we do? Okay, you land the 4th pick. You take him number 1 overall or number 4 overall. He has to change your franchise. He hasn't played much football, but I know the talent's there. All right. And then the shit show starts. 4 plays in. You got Mr. America, Aaron Rodgers. He tears his Achilles. He's done for the year. There's dysfunction in the locker room saying, I'm not getting touches. What is this about? And then in her home in Nebraska, they left to paint a prank saying something along the lines of, oh, man, I just read it too. I forgot. But Anthony Richardson showed up. That's the bottom line. Good job, Gator. You showed up just like our team showed up. And you got a big win versus the Jets. Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, Saleh, Douglas, everybody's going to be out, man. Everybody's going to be out. There's no way that they endure another day of this hell. Ain't no way that your owner's doing that. So I think that, the Jets as we know it is done. That doesn't exist no more. And it's time to put away the lights and all that shit and accept the fact that you guys suck. This is what it is. But shout out to Anthony Richardson and the Colts. Next, we got Vikings-Titans 23-13. Titans made it a little interesting with a 98-yard bomb to Nick Westbrook-Akine by Will Levis, but to no avail. Vikings defense with Brian Flores gets it done. Sam Darnold went 20 for 32, 246, 7.7 average, TDs, 2-0 on two touchdowns to 0 interceptions, 2 sacks for 10 yards. a QBR of 65.4, and a rating of 107.0. Aaron Jones went 15 for 39 on 5 shots. Cam Akers went 10 for 25 on 12 shots. Don't know exactly why we had that spread. I guess they're playing Steph with a bunch of role players. So they ran the ball 33 times, passed the ball 32 times. Perfect balance. Cam Akers went 10 for 25. Aaron Jones 15 for 39. Just giving them the idea that, hey, we might run it here. Justin Jefferson 6 to 31. Yeah, I haven't even. It'd be crazy for a player to immediately after the game text his homie that he just got beat by and be like, "Damn, bro, that was a good ass game." No, that doesn't happen even if you were college teammates. Justin Jefferson went 6 for 81 on 8 targets. Jordan Addison went 6 for 61 along with 47 on 8 targets and a touchdown. They completed 20 balls of the 32 passes. Sam Darnold lost a fumble. Aaron Jones fumbled, but he didn't lose it. 5 explicit 5 sacks, 2 by Van Ginkel, Andrew Van Ginkel, 2 by Pat Jones the second, 1 by Blake Cashman, and that is it. Harrison Smith caught a pick at the end of the game when it was all said and done, basically. And yeah, I mean, the Titans are another team that suck, and they're probably, I wouldn't say tanking, but their defense is so putrid. Will Levis went 17 for 31, 295, 9.5 average, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, 5 for 34, sacks to yards. A QBR of 43.1, and a rating of 84.7. Will Levis ran the ball for seven carries for 18 yards. He was the leading rusher on their team, which is embarrassing. Tony Pollard went 9 for 15. They ran the ball 19 times, threw the ball 31 times. That's just not a recipe for success. Akine went 2 for 117 and a touchdown. Like I said, the 98-yarder on 6 targets. Calvin Ridley went 4 for 58 on 6 targets. Tyler Boyd went 2 for 34 on 3 targets. So, you know, they're just not being productive over there. Jeffrey Simmons recovered a fumble, and there was 2 fumbles. One was Arden Key and Kenneth Murray Jr. I believe he's like a 2nd or 3rd year guy out of Oklahoma, if I'm not mistaken. He was a baller at Oklahoma. He wore number 9. He was a baller. No picks for Tennessee. 23-13, 2-8 to 8-2. You know, it was bound that was bound to happen. Okay. Raiders Dolphins 34-19. Dolphins win. It's about time we put some points on the board. The Raiders are just not a good team, and for Gardner Minshew to throw the ball 43 times, what? That's incredible, dude. That is absolutely incredible. Gardner Minshew throwing the ball 43 times, made 30 of them. He went for 282, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, 3 sacks for 14 yards, 50.2 QBR, a 93.4 rating. Jacoby Myers was the leading rusher, 1 carry for 20 yards. Alexander Madison went 5 for 19. Zamir White went 5 for 9. Ran the ball 16 times to 43 passes. Is not a recipe for success. Brock Bowers rushing. Yeah, Brock Bowers had 13, 126, and a touchdown, an average of 9.7 a catch. along of 23 on 16 targets. That's what I'm talking about. If Gardner Minshew knows how to do one thing, boy, is it to find that check down, tight end, over the ball. That's good. That's good. I need him to keep doing that in my fantasy. Then Alexander Madison went 3 for 50 on 3 targets. DJ Turner went 3 for 29 on 3 targets. Jacoby Myers went 4 for 28 on 6 targets. No fumbles by the Vegas. 2 sacks, 1 by Tyree Wilson, the second year out of Texas Tech. And 1 by Adam Butler. No picks. As for the Dolphins, Tua went 28 of 36, 288 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks, 2 sacks, but for 17 yards, 90.8 QBR, a 127.8 rating, pretty good. Devon Achane was 17 for 73 and a touchdown. We ran the ball 26 times, passed it 36 times. A little bit more balance, I think, would have been better, but yeah. So the run pass balance 36 to 26. We won the game, so I'm not going to trip about that. But we're definitely a more pass happy offense with Tua in the lineup, of course. Jonnu Smith went 6 for 101. He was our leading receiver. He's getting more and more involved as the main pass catcher, honestly, because Tyreek went 7 for 61 on 8 targets against a defense that he should have shredded, and Jalen Waddle went 2 for 37 on 3 targets on a defense that he should have shredded. So I don't know if it's Tua, I don't know if it's somebody's hurt, but I don't like it. Jonnu Smith went 6 for 101 with 2 touchdowns, long of 57 on 8 targets. Devon Achane caught 4 for 32 on 4 targets. Although Beckham made an appearance, he went 2 for 13 on 4 targets. Tua fumbled, didn't lose it though. Our defense got 3 sacks. Sack Sealer got a sack. Calais Campbell, old reliable, got a sack, and Emmanuel Ogbah got a sack. And then Jalen Ramsey got a pick. 4 and 6, we're still in the hunt. Still in the hunt in the standings. So all we can do is just keep moving forward, get the defense rolling, get the offense rolling a little bit more, especially with Tyreek, especially with Jalen Waddle, and get that running game flowing again with Devon Achane and Raheem Mostert, and we should be picking up steam as the season goes on. The Packers beat the Bears 20-19 on a blocked field goal. Caleb played really well. He played a lot better than the last 3 weeks. Jordan Love went 13 for 17 for 261, 15.4 average, touchdown and a pick, 1 sack for 1 yard, 80.7 QBR, a 113 rating. Josh Jacobs went 18 for 76 on a touchdown. Jordan Love went 4 for 18 and a touchdown running. Christian Watson went 4 for 150 on 4 targets, just giant, big, long passes, long of 60. Josh Jacobs went 4 for 58 on 5 targets. Jaden Reed went 2 for 23 and a touchdown on 2 targets. So I don't know why he didn't. Yeah, I think Tyreek Stevenson was probably on him, or Jalen Johnson, so that makes sense on Jaden Reed. Romeo Doubs went 1 for 17 on 2 targets. Their defense got 3 sacks, 1 by Rashawn Gary, 1 by Brenton Cox Jr., and 1 by TJ Slayton. No picks. Not their best game, scoring 20 points, but the Bears defense can be pretty good. Caleb Williams went 23 for 31, 231, 7.5 average, 3 sacks for 19 yards, 83.3 QBR, 95 rating. DeAndre Swift went 14 for 71 and a touchdown. Caleb Williams went 9 carries for 70 yards, used his legs, which is really good. Roshan Johnson, the second-year man out of Texas, went 10 carries for 33 yards and a touchdown. They gave him the goal line carries and the short and the in between the tackle carries. I think that'll move forward, especially with this new offensive coordinator. Roma Dunze went 6 for 65 with 10 targets. So it looks like Caleb wants to look for his fellow rookie. DJ Moore went 7 for 62 on 7 targets. Cole Kmet went 3 for 42 on 3 targets. Keenan Allen went 4 for 41 on 8 targets. So Good job distributing the ball. The run pass is 34-31, so a good run pass balance. Their defense got one sack. That one sack came from DeMarcus Walker. And then Terrell Smith got a pick and returned it for 23 yards. You know, the Packers are still in it in the NFC North, behind Minnesota, and, of course, behind the Lions. And the Bears just lose in devastating fashion on a blocked field goal. Caleb drove them down there, good drive, and just, boom, blocked field goal. Unfortunate. Falcons disappoint. Once again, Broncos destroy them 38-6. This defense is absolutely legit. Bo Nix is making a case for Rookie of the Year if Jaden Daniels keeps slipping. Kirk Cousins went 18 for 27, 173. I mean, it was bad. 6.4 average, no touchdowns, one pick, 3 sacks for 21 yards, 34.9 QBR, 68.9 rating. Even Michael Penix got a little bit of burn, 2 for 4, 24 yards. Bijan went 12 for 35 yards, couldn't get nothing going. 21 pass attempt, 21 rushes to 27 passes as a team. Drake London went 3 for 61 on 7 targets. Ray-Ray McCloud went 6 for 46 on 6 targets. Bijan went 4 for 28 on 4 targets. Darnell Mooney got hurt, 2 for 27 on 4 targets. Kyle Pitts went 1 for 9 on 3 targets. I mean, it was just nothing going on. Kirk Cousins fumbled, but recovered it. They got 1 sack as a defense. That sack came from Matthew Judon. No picks. And then Denver just dominated offensively, defensively. Bo Nix went 28 for 33 for 307, 9.3 average, 4 touchdowns, no picks, 1 sack for 12 yards, 75.5 QBR, a 145 rating, just absolutely outstanding. Run pass balance of 26-33, so pretty good. Javonte Williams went 9 for 59 and a touchdown. Audric Estime, they used him a little bit, 6 for 16. Jaleel McLaughlin went 4 for 19. Bo Nix ran for 5 yards on 2 carries. Cortland Sutton went 7 for 78 on 8 targets. Devon Vele went 6 for 66 on 5 targets. Lil Jordan Humphrey went 4 for 52 on a touchdown on 4 targets. Marvin Mims went 2 for 49 and a touchdown on 2 targets. Javonte Williams went 4 for 28 on 5 targets. Troy Franklin went 2 for 15 and a touchdown on 2 targets. And Nate Atkins went 1 for 12, and that one was a touchdown. Lil Jordan Humphrey fumbled, recovered it. They got 4 sacks on defense. Nick Benito got 2. Malcolm Roach got 2. And Jonah Ellis got 1. Cody Barton got an interception. They just dominated. They're 6-5, holding down that elusive 7th spot right now in the AFC. And they're looking good. They're looking better every week. Bo Nix is looking more and more poised, more and more in control, more and more like a franchise quarterback. Sean Payton is obviously dialing it up. That defense is getting to, it is stopping the run. They have legit dudes outside with Moss and, of course, PS2. They're playing really well. They're going to be a dangerous team moving forward for that wild card. Seahawks beat the 49ers in a stunning Geno Smith 15-second left run to win. That drops them to 5-5. Now the Rams are 5-5. You got the Seahawks at 5-5, and you have the 49ers at 5-5, and then 6-4 Arizona that was on a bye. Easily the most not competitive, but like the most up for grabs division in football. Geno went 25 for 32, 221, no touchdowns and a pick, 6.9 average, 4 sacks for 26 yards, 82.2 QBR, a rating of 82.4. Kenneth Walker went 14 for 54. Geno Smith went 4 for 29 and a touchdown. Kenneth got a touchdown. The team ran it 23 times. They threw it 32 times. Jackson Smith and Jigba went 10 for 110. On 11 targets. DK Metcalf went 7 for 70 on 9 targets. Tyler Lockett kind of being left behind in that offense. 2 for 19 on 3 targets. Geno Smith fumbled but recovered it. Their defense got 2 sacks, one by Draymond Jones and Derek Hall. Jonathan Hankins got a pick. It was just a sloppy game, both sides, defensive, 20-17. Brock Purdy went 21 for 28, 159, 5.7 average, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, 2 sacks for 13 yards, 78.7 QBR, a rating of 85.3. Christian McCaffrey went 19 for 79. Brock Purdy ran for 40 yards on 5 carries. Jawan Jennings went 10 for 91. That seems like they're just going to be their number one receiver moving forward. Debo has kind of been left behind. So Jawan Jennings caught a touchdown, 10 for 91 on 11 targets. Christian McCaffrey, 4 for 27 on 5 targets. Debo, 4 for 22 on 7 targets. Their defense got 4 sacks, 1.5 by Bosa, 1.5 by Leonard Floyd, and 1 by Yetur Gross-Matos. Isaac Yiadom got a pick, but they still came up short. So we'll see what happens in that division because it is up for grabs. Bills beat the Chiefs 30-21. Chiefs are no longer undefeated on Josh Allen, 26-yard, 4th down run late in the 4th quarter to make it a 2-score game. Patrick threw 2 picks. Unfortunately, he threw 3 touchdowns. He went 23 for 33, 196, 5.9 average, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks, 2 sacks for 15 yards, QBR of 63.2, rating of 90. Kareem Hunt went 14 for 60. They ran the ball 17 times, threw the ball 33 times, so there was not really any balance. Xavier Worthy went 4 for 61 on 5 targets and a touchdown. DeAndre Hopkins 3 for 29 on 4 targets. Justin Watson went 2 for 26 on 2 targets. No sacks for the defense. Chamari Connor got a pick. But the Buffalo Bills just played better, just like they always do in the regular season against Kansas City, especially at home. They're now 9-2. Kansas City falls to 9-1. Josh Allen was 27 for 40, 262, 6.6 average, a touchdown and a pick. No sacks. 82.8 QBR, a rating of 83.5. Josh Allen, 12 carries for 55 yards and a touchdown, the long of 26, which won the game, or sealed the game. He was their leading rusher. James Cook went 9 for 20, so they couldn't run the ball that much. They went 31 rushes for 104, just 3.4 yards a carry as a team, and they threw the ball 40 times. So, 9 difference in balance, which is okay. Khalil Shakir went 8 for 70 on 12 targets. Curtis Samuel went 5 for 58 on 6 targets. Amari Cooper went 2 for 55 on 3 targets. Dawson Knox went 4 for 40 on 6 targets. Curtis Samuel was the one that got a touchdown. Their defense got 2 sacks. Von Miller got 1 late in the 4th. And Terrell Bernard got the other, also late in the 4th. Taylor Rapp got a pick, and Terrell Bernard finished the game basically with a pick. Yeah, Buffalo just played better. Kansas City with no Pacheco, hopefully getting him back this week. Also no Rashee Rice. It's tough. Xavier Worthy got missed on a deep ball that could have, brought momentum in the first half to possibly score another touchdown, but he overstepped and didn't drag his foot, unfortunately, so it was an incomplete pass. But they have to find some type of rhythm with Xavier Worthy and Travis Kelce, because Travis Kelce in this game, I mean, when I tell you didn't do much. 2 for 8 on 4 targets, so absolutely nothing. They definitely wanted to take him away. Did Buffalo. Bengals Chargers. Chargers win in another 4th quarter. J.K. Dobbins run. After squandering a 21-point lead, it was 24-6 at one point. And then Bengals, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, and Joe Burrow came back. Fortunately, it wasn't enough. and the Chargers get the win, move to 7-3. Bengals fall to 4-7, and basically end their hopes to get to the playoffs. 28 for 50 for Joe Burrow, 356, 7.1 average, 3 touchdowns, no picks, 3 sacks for 14 yards, 84.2 QBR, a 98.4 rating. Chase Brown went 22 for 86 yards. They ran the ball 25 times, threw it 50. So a balance of 25. It's insane, but it was a high-scoring game, and they needed to come back. So T. Higgins in his first game back from injury, 9 for 148 on 13 targets. Jamar Chase, 7 for 75 on 13 targets. Beautiful distribution to the 2 top guys. A touchdown for T. Higgins of 42. Jamar, 2 touchdowns along of 32. Chase Brown went 5 for 57 on 7 targets. Yossi Vash went 3 for 46 on 3 targets. Geno Stone recovered a fumble. They got 2 sacks as a defense. Cam Taylor-Britt got 0.5. Trey Hendrickson got half a sack. And then Joseph Asai got a sack as well. No interceptions. As for the Chargers, Justin Herbert, 17 for 36, 297, 8.3 average, 2 touchdowns, no picks, 2 sacks, 17 yards, 40.9 QBR, 94.3 rating. Justin Herbert also was their leading rusher, 5 for 65. J.K. Dobbins, 11 for 56 and 2 touchdowns. Gus Edwards, 6 for 27. They ran the ball 25 times, threw it 36 times, 11 difference. That's a little, that should be a little bit less. Lat McConkey had his breakout game, 6 for 123, including 55 yards on the game-winning drive. On 9 targets, Will Dissly went 4 for 80 and a touchdown on 6 targets. Quentin Johnston went 2 for 48, but one of them was a touchdown, 26 yards. On 8 targets, Josh Palmer went 2 for 23 on 4 targets. Justin Herbert fumbled and lost it. Their defense got 3 sacks. Poona Ford got a sack. Tuli Tuipulotu got 1.5 sacks, and Derwin James got half a sack. No picks. The Chargers are doing well. They're playing good football. Justin Herbert with John Harbaugh are playing incredible football together. That defense is the number 1 scoring defense in the NFL. Just a different culture change completely from Staley to Harbaugh. You can see it. This team is going to be dangerous, especially in the playoffs. So good job to the Chargers. And for the Bengals, they have the number 1 pass offense in the NFL, but unfortunately, I think the hill is too far to climb unless people fall off of it. And I don't see the Chargers or the Broncos or the Ravens or the Steelers or the Texans falling off anytime soon. And for the Monday night game, Texans win 34-10 against the Cowboys, an absolute massacre. Joe Mixon went nuts, 23 for 34, 257, 7.6 average, 0 touchdowns, 1 pick for C.J. Stroud, 1 sack for 7 yards, 51.6 QBR, 77.7 rating. Joe Mixon went 20 for 109, 3 touchdowns, just went nuts. Nico Collins in his first game back, 4 for 54. Should have had a touchdown in the first play, but Laramie Tunsil was an illegible man downfield on 7 targets. Tank Dell went 4 for 54 on 7 targets. Joe Mixon went 2 for 44 on 4 targets. John Mechie went 3 for 33 on 3 targets. Derek Barnett recovered a fumble. Their defense got 5 sacks on Cooper Rush. Danico Autry got a sack, 2 by Daniil Hunter, 1 by Tim Settle Jr., and 1 by Derek Barnett. Derek Stingley Jr. got a pick. And then as for the Cowboys, I mean, it's just, it was awful, guys. I mean, 32 for 55 attempts for Cooper Rush, 354, 6.4, a touchdown and a pick, 5 sacks for 34 yards, a 30.5 QBR, 75.9 rating. Rico Dowdle, 10 carries for 28 yards, 18 carries to 55 passes. I mean, it just awful everywhere around. 8 catches for 93 yards for CeeDee Lamb on 12 targets. Kevontae Turpin went 3 for 86 and a touchdown, a long of 64, where he ran like 22.3 miles an hour on 3 targets. Luke Schoonmaker, the former Michigan Wolverine, 6 for 56 on 10 targets. Yeah, Brevin Spann, 4 for 42 on 5 targets. Jalen Tolder, 2 for 21 on 5 targets. Cooper Rush fumbled twice. Tyler Guyton recovered Cooper's fumble, tried to run it, fumbled again, and then recovered another fumble. Cooper recovered his fumble. They got 1 sack, and it came from Osa Odigozua. Malik Hooker got a pick. And then I believe the Texans also scored on defense, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see here. I could have sworn there was a TD somewhere. A defensive TD. Not seeing it here, though. I could have sworn that Derek Barnett. Oh, yeah, it was. Yeah, he picked it up and ran it back. So 34-10, just an absolute massacre. Dallas blow it all up. Mike McCarthy out of there. Dak is not coming back. He tore his hamstring. I think you should really go into this draft with an open mind on offensive linemen and try to fix what has been broken for a long time. As for Houston, 7-4, they broke the 2-game skid, and hopefully they can get back on track to basically cement themselves as that 4 seed and winning the AFC South. For the standings, Buffalo over Miami. Basically, that division's done. Pittsburgh over Baltimore, 8-2 over 7-4. Houston 7-4 over Indy 5-6. KC 9-1 over 7-3 and 6-5. Denver, Philly over 8-2 and 7. Philly at 8-2 over 7-4. Washington, Detroit 9-1 over Minnesota 8-2 and Green Bay 7-3. Atlanta just over Tampa Bay at 4-6. Atlanta's at 6-5, but they got to start winning in order to cement themselves as that 4 seed and the NFC South champs. And Arizona in a tough battle with the Rams, Seattle, and San Francisco, 6-4, while the other 3 at 5-5 is going to be an insane race to the end. And to end off this episode, we're going to go to the NBA real quick. We talked about the Cavs losing to the Boston Celtics tonight in the NBA Cup. As for the standings right now, we have the Cavaliers still number 1. Boston is 12-3 at number 2. Orlando with no Paolo, number 3 in the East. Surprising. Franz is really taking a step. 9-6, and that whole team is playing well. Anthony Black, Jalen Suggs, that team is playing pretty well. New York is at 8-6, recovered. Now Cat's playing pretty well. Jalen Brunson's still not clicking at the same rate he was last year, but they're playing well. Atlanta surprisingly recovered, 7-8. Miami's at 6-7. So the only teams over 500 are 1, 2, 3, 4. Once you get to the 5th, they're 7-8. Miami 6-7, Detroit at 7-9, starting to get their groove, hopefully with those young kids. Indiana at 6-8, Brooklyn at 6-9, and then Chicago rounds out the top 10 at 6-9. You have Charlotte outside at 5-9, Milwaukee at 5-9, but slowly creeping back up. I think they're starting to find their groove with Giannis and Dame now that Dame is back from the concussion. Toronto's at 3-12, Washington at 2-11, and Philadelphia is at 2-11, and we have to talk about Tyrese Maxey calling out Joel Embiid at a team meeting that they had yesterday or this morning. Joel Embiid is being late to everything: practices, team meetings, treatment, shoot around, games. That's not a good look for your former MVP. That is embarrassing. Okay, that is absolutely embarrassing. That's why you guys are 2-11, because your best player is not holding himself accountable, and your 24-year-old a star that you just paid has to check him. Hopefully it works, because they're 2-11 right now, and that roster's too damn talented to be the last team in the NBA. It is absolutely a shit show over there. So hopefully they can get it together. As for the West, 11-3, OKC at 1, Golden State at 10-3. They lost to they lost to a Clipper team because Norman Powell caught fire in the fourth quarter. They lost by 1 yesterday, or by 2. They had a chance to win it, but missed both threes. LA recovered. The Lakers 9-4, the third. Houston surprising 10-5. Now that Jalen Green is starting to get his flow, Alfred Sengun, Amen Thompson, everybody, Tyrese Maxey, they're starting to get their flow. I don't know what happened to Cam Whitmore, but they're playing well. Denver 8-5 at number 5, so they recovered as well. Phoenix is at 9-6. They've fallen a little bit. Minnesota recovered. They're 8-6. They're number 7. Clippers are 8-7 with no Kawhi, just James Harden and Powell. Memphis with no Jars, 8-7. So when he comes back, hopefully they take a bump. Sacramento at 8-7 is number 10. Dallas is at 8-7. They're at 11. San Antonio's at 6-8. Portland then follows them at 6-8. New Orleans at 4-11 with all their injuries, and Zion seems like he's going to be out for a while. And then Utah's at 3-11, probably chasing for Cooper Flag. Yeah, it's still early, but early signs are saying that the West is going to be an absolute battle to the end. From, I would say, honestly, from 1 to 11. It's going to be an absolute just battle. These teams are separated by less than a game each. Maybe most of them are all tied. Like it's a pretty competitive thing. The East is already kind of separating itself. You have a 2.5 game lead already from 1 to 2, a 5.5 game lead from 1 to 3. Already the 6th seed is already 7.5 games down on the number 1 seed, and then the 10th seed is 8.5 games. So it's gonna be It's gonna be a battle from, I want to say, from the 3rd or 4th seed down to the 10th seed, and then from the 11th and 12th seed up. But it's gonna be exciting. I'm really excited. We have some injuries right now. We got to get people back playing. Zion, Paolo. Other than that, everybody Other than that, everybody's pretty healthy and playing at their highest level. But Cleveland's still up there, 15-1. We'll see what happens after this loss against the defending champs. If Boston just goes on another run and Cleveland takes a little dive, or if Cleveland just picks it back up and just washes a little blip off the radar. As for the NBA Cup, Orlando's number 1 in Group A right now. They're 2-0. The Knicks are 2-0 in Group A. Brooklyn's at 1-1. Philadelphia 0-2. Charlotte 0-2. Group B, you have 2-0 Detroit, 1-0 Milwaukee, 1-1 Miami, 0-1 Indiana, 0-2 Toronto. Atlanta's at 2-0 in Group C. Boston at 1-1. Cleveland at 1-1. Washington at 0-1. And Chicago at 0-1. In the Western Conference, you got the Rockets at 1-0. Portland at 1-0. And Minnesota at 1-1. While the Sac and Clippers are 0-1. That's Group A. You have OKC at 1-0, Lakers at 1-0, Phoenix at 1-1, San Antonio at 0-1, and Utah at 0-1 in Group B. And then Group C, you have Golden State 2-0, Dallas at 1-1, New Orleans at 1-1, Denver at 1-1, and Memphis at 0-2 in Group C. Still with 2 games to play, and most people having to play 3 games. So still not fully flushed out in the NBA Cup, so that's going to be exciting as well. In the next episode, we will talk about if any more MLB awards come out. As for like the MVP, I know the Silver Sluggers came out. I have to get a list of all those to rattle them off to you guys. But other than that, I love you guys. Next episode got Formula One because it's Las Vegas this weekend. We got predictions for the NCAA, predictions for the NFL Week 12, and anything else that comes down the pipeline sports-wise, and, of course, the NBA. I love you guys. God bless. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, comment, follow me on my socials, and I leave you all with the outro.
Que todos quieren ser el chamaquito que no puede